Migration as a manifestation of capitalist exploitation, a Marxist critique and the path to liberation. Karl Marx, a revolutionary thinker of the 19th century, would view migration through the lens of class struggle and capitalist exploitation. Migration, in this context, is not merely a problem but a consequence of systemic inequalities perpetuated by capitalism. To resolve this issue, Marx would argue for a radical shift in economic structures, emphasizing the need to address the root causes of migration by dismantling exploitative capitalist systems. This essay explores a Marxist approach to migration, advocating for a transformative change that prioritizes the liberation of the working class in struggling nations. Body. Exploitation of labor in the global capitalist system. Marx would assert that migration is a direct result of the exploitation of labor within the global capitalist system. Multinational corporations driven by profit motives exploit cheap labor in developing countries, leading to economic disparities and social unrest. To address migration, Marx would advocate for the dismantling of this exploitative system, emphasizing the need for fair wages and equitable distribution of resources. Capitalist-driven underdevelopment. According to Marx, capitalism inherently perpetuates underdevelopment in certain regions to sustain a constant supply of cheap labor. Struggling nations are kept in a perpetual state of economic dependency, making migration an appealing option for those seeking better opportunities. Resolving this issue requires challenging the unequal distribution of resources and empowering these nations through socialist policies that prioritize local development. Education as a means of liberation. Marx believed in the transformative power of education in raising class consciousness. To address migration, he would advocate for widespread access to quality education, emphasizing the importance of an enlightened working class. Education becomes a tool for empowerment, allowing individuals to recognize their exploitation and work collectively towards systemic change. Ownership and control of resources. Marx would vehemently criticize the capitalist practice of extracting natural resources from developing nations without adequate compensation. To address migration, he would argue for the nationalization of resources, placing control in the hands of the working class. This shift in ownership aims to break the cycle of dependency and ensure that the benefits of resources are directed towards local development. Overcoming alienation through solidarity. Marx's concept of alienation, where workers feel disconnected from the products of their labor, applies to the phenomenon of migration. To counter this, Marx would encourage international solidarity among the working class. By fostering connections and shared interests, workers globally can unite against the common enemy, the capitalist system, and work towards a world where migration is driven by choice rather than necessity. Conclusion. In a Marxist analysis of migration, the solution lies in dismantling the capitalist structures that perpetuate exploitation and underdevelopment. Addressing migration necessitates a radical shift towards socialist policies that prioritize the empowerment of the working class, fair distribution of resources, and international solidarity. Karl Marx's approach calls for a revolutionary transformation that liberates struggling nations from the chains of capitalist exploitation, allowing individuals to shape their destinies free from the constraints of forced migration.